Hi everyone, I am back. I'm Sandy Peckinpah, and I hope that you joined me yesterday because we're going to be continuing a conversation. If you didn't, you will have a chance to listen to the recap, and we'll talk about the woman in transition, the woman who looks at life and says, wow, nothing ever stays the same. And isn't that what our life is about? Now, the reason that I love talking about this is because we're all going through a transition, no matter what stage of life you're in. But I have a hunch that you're looking back in the last decade and saying, wow, things are so different today. And I know they are for the majority of the world, because that is our intention on earth, is to continue to grow and change and realize that no, in fact, does anything ever stay the same? No, nothing ever stays the same. And so what do? We need tools, we need mindset, we need awareness of how we're going to weather these transitions in life. And that's what I want to talk with you about today, because that's what I love sharing. Now, this isn't all stuff that I've learned. It's stuff that, yes, I've experienced in my own life, but one of my passions in life is research. I love reading other people's work. I love studying what other people have to say. Those of you who know me as a writer, I continue to write blogs and articles because I love researching. You know, I'll get an idea like, what's the best way to go to sleep at night? And bam, there's a perfect subject for an article that I just wrote and just published this last week on Medium. And we're going to be doing that one next week, I think, or maybe this week, I don't know. Anyway, we need to arm ourselves or prepare ourselves for the next day and the next. And how does that happen? It happens by strengthening your inner resilience. Now, resilience is something that we all have, every one of us. It's the same thing that happens when you see a little weed grow up through the crack in cement and you can't figure out how in the world that weed made it through the cement. Well, that is nature, human nature. And it is something that we're all born with, and we all have the ability to call upon when we're going through tough times. And what I realized is that we don't always know the tools that strengthen our inner resilience. And so next week, I'm going to be focusing on strengthening your inner resilience so that no matter what comes your way, you're prepared to tackle it, to not just bounce back, but bounce forward. And I can't wait to share this with you, because I've been writing and writing about it, and now I'm ready to share. And that's why I wanted to do live stream again, because I just remember how doing live stream was my fuel for writing and researching. And this last year I sort of got stuck. I was writing, but I was sharing it in print. And that's always very satisfying for me because I'm a writer. But I also love sharing it online with you live, because I love reading your feedback. I love being able to connect with you in a more personal way. And so this just thrills me that I have this opportunity to do this. What a miracle the internet is. Yesterday, I shared with you how Facebook was responsible for me getting married in this second act of life. So how about that for the wonderful parts of the internet that, we just don't expect. Anyway, let's recap yesterday, because I don't want to go on too long. I'm going to try and keep the Facebook Lives around 10 to 15 minutes because I don't want to keep you too long. I know it's close to dinner if you're here on the West Coast, and maybe close to bedtime if you're on the East Coast. So yesterday we talked about nothing ever stays the same, but those experiences that we had filled a need. And so we are always learning from those experiences, good or bad, because you can take an experience and look at it from two perspectives. You can, for instance, if you have a great loss in life, we all go through those times when we have great loss. And what does that loss teach us? It teaches us how much we loved, how great that love was, that it never leaves us, that it became attached to us in our heart, that it will never go away. And in fact, as I mentioned yesterday, love grows whether the person is on this planet or not. And that is a beautiful, beautiful thing to know. And for any of you who are experiencing great loss, just know that that love is forever in your heart and always will be. It was something that I learned with losing my son, because I thought, is this all there is? Do I have to stop loving him in order to move forward in life? No. I get to love him every day. I get to think about him every day. I get to experience love for him in my heart every single day. So now I want to move on with this topic, because I want to share with you that there will always be more tough situations to face. Always. But in the end, nothing is as painful as staying the same, as staying stuck. If you had maybe a job loss, or you lost your home in this terrible financial crisis we had years ago, maybe it would have been easy to stay stuck in the anger and the bitterness. But I can tell you today, as a real estate agent, that I am experiencing working with people who, did have a house loss in that market, and now they've restored their credit, they've restored their job, they've moved forward in life, and they're buying their home again, because nothing ever stays the same. You can continue to grow and change and learn. I'll tell you what I learned in that market, because I'm telling you, in real estate, I was having remarkable years up to the crash. I thought, wow, I am so happy with my income, with my home, with everything. And then when the market hit, I thought, what the heck happened? Where did my income go? Well, what I learned was resourcefulness. And not only did I learn that, but I had children at home, 3 children at home, that also learned resourcefulness, because suddenly we weren't going out to dinner all the time. We weren't buying expensive food. We weren't always buying new clothing or, whatever our heart's desire. No, we learned resourcefulness during that period of time. And I am so grateful for that time, because it taught me that. It taught me resourcefulness. So no matter what the experience, you can look at it and say, this is what I learned. This is what I learned from this experience. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, but what you take away, you have the ability to change. You have the ability to change from this point forward what you took away from learning in that experience, in that difficult time. I also want to talk about accepting responsibility for making the changes, because experiences don't stop. Experiences continue. That's life. And it takes a great deal of courage to admit that something needs to change. I know it's really hard for me. My husband will tell you, because sometimes I dig my heels in the sand. But I have to recognize that change is inevitable, change is important to our growth, and change teaches us where we should take our next step. And sometimes that's harder than you can ever imagine, but just look at the next step. Sometimes that's all you need to do, is look at the very next step. You don't have to see the big picture. The big picture is too daunting. It's too scary to think that all of these things have to happen in order for life to be okay in the future. No, it just has to happen in this moment by choice. the choices that you make on a daily basis. Tonight, when you go to bed, and by the way, you have to read my article in Medium because I write all about the bedtime ritual, and actually I'm going to talk about it in a Facebook Live coming up. It's important that you set your intention for the next day, for the experience of what might happen the next day that you want to have happen. Now, just before you fall asleep, it's a golden time. Your mind is blurry and open and ready to receive because you're just about to fall into a dream state. But the miracle of that is that it's also ripe for your creative mind. And so if you start to ask questions or have desires and hopes for the next day, that's the perfect time to ask. Close your eyes and ask. I want to say that I'm going to have to read all of your comments after I'm off the air because I can't see them. I don't want to wear glasses because then it reflects. I tried it, but it reflects. So I'm going to read every single comment after this broadcast and respond to you. So please don't think I'm ignoring you. I just can't read it. So I tried the glasses thing. It didn't work. Anyway, here's another important point. Complaining stops the energy flow. Those who complain the most accomplish the least. It gets you into a mindset that is so damaging. And all of a sudden, that little voice inside your head stops you because it tells you that you can't, you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, and you complain that something happened to you instead of for you. Sometimes even the darkest things will happen for you. Now, it's not to say that there's any great reason why a child should die or the terrible things that can happen in the world, but you can control the way your mind receives the information and figure out what you personally can do. It's your shift. You don't want that inner chatter to say it's hopeless, because I know for a fact I thought life was hopeless after my son died. And I discovered that there was a whole life waiting for me beyond thinking that it was hopeless. I was able to rise up because of resilience, which I said we all have resilience. Because of that, my mindset, my determination to restore my life and be a whole mom to my 3 living children. Those are the kinds of decisions that you make when you're faced with tragedy. And I am so glad that I decided I had no option but to restore myself, my sanity, my life, so that my 3 children, my 3 living children, could have a childhood, a life, a whole mom. So what I want to impress upon you is that complaining or feeling sorry for yourself is a position of having your hands tied. You go nowhere with it. But using your inner resilience and your mindset puts you on the path of restoration, uplifting, lifting you out of that depression. And number 6, I think it's time for me to wrap up here. I'm almost at 15 minutes. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. So I'm going to leave you with that important thought, because the happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And I want to offer you something that I think will contribute to the quality of your thoughts. Now, if you go on my website, sandypeckinpah.com, and you scroll down, There's something that says for the woman who's ready to fall in love with her life again. And it's a 5-page PDF that I wrote. You can either just read it on your computer or your iPad or whatever, or you can print it out and read it. But these are tips and tools for living your everyday life, for taking charge of your everyday life. And I think you'll really enjoy them. This is it. And if you enter your email, and I'll send you the download, you can download it. And as I said, you can read it on your iPad. These are important things that we just sort of assume we should know how to handle stuff that's thrown our way, but we don't. And what I did was compile a list for you of tools and tips for things that you can do to take charge of your life again. For the woman who is ready to fall in love with her life again. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and I can't wait to be back here tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining me. If you'd like to leave comments in the comment section, please do. I read everything. And if you go to my website and download these tools, I'll continue to send my articles. I don't spam you, I don't bombard you. I just, maybe once or twice a week, I send stuff out to you about things that I've observed, things that I want you to know about living your best life. So thank you again for joining me, and I can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.